Okay, thank you for coming back to me. We're going to move on to the front of the desk now. So here it is, and the first thing I want to do is I want to pop that decorative piece onto the front, because it's going to look like some kind of engraved or embossed bit on the front. So all we're going to do is just pop a very light layer of glue onto the front. You'll see I've just done a bit of repair work there because mine wasn't cut so well. So we're just going to pop a nice light layer of glue on the top of that, and then by eye you'll pop it straight onto the front, so it doesn't sit flush with the bottom. It's a little bit raised, as you can see here, and this is a thing I usually do. I dry trial first and then I glue, so that I've got a rough idea before I start about where I'm going. Now the other thing you'll notice is that my drawers are on the right and my cupboard is on the left. Now the reason for this, even though in the plan you'll see it is the opposite way around, is because the writing is all on the other side, so I've had to flip the front. Now if you're planning on painting later and you really want your drawers on the left, then it's not going to matter. You can keep the writing to the front if you want to. But for those people who want to keep the desk white and in its raw form, then it would need to be flipped over. Not a biggie for us, just a different way of putting it together. And now that that's done, let's move on to the base of the piece. Now you can see here I am showing you how the tiers work. So you have BT2 and BT1, I believe. They are the base tiers, and they work similar to what the tiers do on the underside of the top of the desk. So they're going to give us a really cool little stepped effect on top of the actual base level, which will bring us up to the rest of the desk. So this gives you a lovely carved look, a tapered look to your piece, which will make it look like it has been carved. So I want to work on those base tiers now. So you will see there is a BT1 and a BT2, and there's also a base left and a base right. Now we are going to use base left at this stage, and we are going to glue the 2 tiers to the top of that. So that will give us 3 tiers, and once that's dry we'll be ready to stick the I suppose you would call it the legs of the base on. So we're going to do that now. So it's the same process again. The nice side of the base is facing up, and the written side of tiers 1 and 2 are the sides that you're going to use your adhesive on. So it's the same process again, a nice light layer of glue, and we're going to center that by eye onto the base piece, and then you're going to take your next smallest layer and you're going to pop that straight on top, and again by eye with a nice light layer of glue. Then once you have those adhered together, use your toothpick or your skewer, whatever you're using, and clear away any excess glue. Okay, so having completed that, I don't know if you can see, but I'm trying to show you here that lovely tiered stepped effect. And of course now we're going to do the exact exact same process with the right hand side pieces. So we have our base, which is nice side facing up. We are adding our glue to BT2R and adding a nice light layer. We'll adhere that by eye to the center of the base piece, and then we will add glue to the drawn on side of BT1R, and that will go right on top of those other two, just the same way as we have done for the left hand side. And now that that's done, we're going to roll that out, and when I lift this up, you should be able to see how those tiered effects have come out, and they're going to look really good once we attach them to the bottom of the desk. Alright everyone, so we've put in the hard yards doing our layering, and now I'd like to move on to the back of the desk. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to use the pieces that we have layered, and we are going to build this desk up from the back forward. So I am going to lay the back piece down, and of course it's going to be writing side up, because I want that piece to be hiding on the inside of the desk and not showing to the outside. So I do have some slight bowing in this piece, so I've just bent it back a little to counteract the bowing, but I'm hopeful that once the other pieces are stuck to it, that as I said earlier, they will eventually apply pressure to it and maybe straighten it out. It doesn't work all the time, but we can only try. So let's get gluing. The first thing I want to do is I want to take one of the side pieces and I want to adhere that to one side of the desk. Now again, remember that these are not square pieces, so you need to double check and make sure that you are gluing the right length that matches the width of that back, the height of the back. You don't want to glue the wrong edge because it won't line up. So once you have that figured out, what I like to do is I like to glue the edge of the shorter piece, and I like to usually lay it down, and I like to bring the bigger piece into the larger piece and lay it flush with the mat. However, this is 1/12 scale, and these pieces are much bigger and heavier than what I'm used to. So you'll see here that I kind of figure that fact out as I'm doing this, and then I change my technique later. The technique that I'm showing you now is usually what I do for 1/24. I wouldn't recommend this for 1/12 because as I said, the weight factor does have an impact. So just run your glue down the edge of your smaller piece and then attach that by hand to the larger piece, and then sit it up to dry. Through this process, I found that was the best way. Like anything in miniatures, guys, don't be afraid to try something new. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Usually, if you make a mistake, there's always a way around it. So I do encourage everybody to just try something new, even if it's something really simple like a new way to glue a piece together. Again, a really good thing about using tacky glue is, as you can see here when I maneuver this piece around, it's still flexible, but nothing's falling apart. So it will hold your piece together even when it's not dry, but give you the flexibility to be able to move things around or change things. Change the angle of a thing, change where it's situated, and a lot of times that's really helpful for us. So now you can see I've moved on to the front of the desk, and I'm going to add the faux pieces in. Now, we probably could have cut this desk out a bit better and maybe even left it whole without the cutouts in it, but as I said earlier, it was part of an earlier plan, so that is why it is the way it is. That's okay though. So at the moment I'm taking these layered pieces that I've made and I'm dry trialing them. As I always do with my pieces, I want to see where they're going to go before I glue them, so I've got an idea of what it's supposed to look like. So with these faux drawers, I am centering I'm centering them by eye. So they will have a very slight gap in the middle. Hopefully I can zoom in to show you that. There we go. So you can see a very, very slight gap in the middle. So once I've dry trialed them and I know where they're going to go, I'm going to take each piece out and I am going to add just a little bit of glue to the outer edges. Now you can see here there's not much in it. There's like 1 or 2 mil difference between the outside of the faux piece and the gap. So again, just a very light glue to those outer edges and then pop it into place. And then clean up your edges with your toothpick and make everything look nice and clean there, because again, when it comes to painting, we don't want any extra glue sticking out that may have dried, because this will show up when we paint. And now that that door piece is on, let's do the same thing with the drawer fronts. Just a nice thin layer of glue around the outside and pop them onto those front gaps. And again, center them by eye and leave just a small gap between each drawer, and this will help it to look more authentic. And here we go, you can see I'm onto my last drawer here, and I'm just gonna add that one in, and then that is the front of the desk completed. Well done. Okay, so we might take this opportunity to have a little break, have a pop round the rest of the extravaganza and see what is on display and what yummy things you might find for sale. When we come back, we will be looking at the other side of the desk and getting things attached.